Konnichiwa, man. This is D-Secure, and you're watching PokeCast. This is another. Well, welcome back to the part 2 of Game Boy Top 10s. Card games go fish. Alright, to reiterate, here's the rules. Number 1, it has to be in Game Packs Miscellaneous, where all the card games are featured. And if it's not in this section, it's not on the list. Moving on to rule number 2, as always, no Game Boy Color games, since the Game Boy Color is the next gen version of the system. It's definitely going to be fun to do some card reviews on those ones. There's some really good ones on the Game Boy Color as well. And then, of course, rule number 3, it has to be played with cards. If the game itself does not feature cards as being the element of play, it's not in this list. Just because it's not a card game. Alright, moving on to the first game, we have Cadillac 2. This is a great game. It's a puzzle game that you play with cards, and I really enjoy it. The one thing that I have to mention is the reason why I'm showing the Japanese game is I don't like what they did in the American version, mainly because you get to see that the bunny boy right there, and it adds that Japanese feeling to it. So what do they do to Americanize it? They put a clown in there. Now, I don't have clown phobia, whatever it's called, but they're just little things like that where why change it? It just, yeah. Anyway, to the game. It took me a while to figure out what the heck I was even doing in this game, to be honest. But after figuring out what I was supposed to do, it became very intriguing. And I have to say, very difficult. Because, with only being laid down 5 cards, you really have to think, okay, in poker, what do I do to actually, get points, or sorry, win hands dealt and everything. And that's when I had to start thinking, because the minimal is 3 that you have to match up. 3 of a kind, a run, a straight, whatever. You just got to do those. So really got to think about it on how to actually play. And that's why this one's a little bit higher, because of, well, since I really enjoy puzzle games, this one really added a little to it. Like I said, it's not easy because if you're not careful, you die. I got a little bit better later. And of course, if you do not do it right, you get the sad bunny boy or girl, I think it's probably whatever, and you just sit there and just lose all your money. Definitely one worth trying out. Alright, so that is number 5, Cadillac 2. Moving on to number 4, 4-in-1 Fun Pack Volume 2. Now, of course, this only has 1 card game featured and has 3 other games. And of course, this has Solitaire. I have to admit, it's been forever since I played Solitaire, so it took me forever. Okay, how do we play this game again? Because for most people, when they pick up a game, all computers have Solitaire. What's the one game everybody plays? Solitaire. When you're a handheld classic gamer, what do you play? Tetris. Or in my case, Yoshi. So, it's been, in all honesty, it's been like 8 years or more since I've actually ever played Solitaire. And that's no joke, so it took me a while to get used to it. And that's why this one's low, is where it is just because the Fun Pack itself is a series of games that I actually really enjoy because of it having multiple different games that I really like in there. Now this one does come with, I believe it's Yahtzee and Dominoes. The last one, I forget what it's called. I don't know how to play that game, but it's there too. And I just like the design. The design is absolutely perfect. They're able to show another card to where you're able to understand it and be able to play it. And I really enjoy that feature in all of the 4-in-1s. or I should say the fun packs, since there's several others, because they did it right on the graphics. It was for Game Boy. Don't use up massively huge things. Make it for Game Boy. And that's why this one is number 4. Because it has Solitaire, that's it, and then some other games that are really fun to play. Now, the next one is where it comes in nice. So for number 3, this is Solitaire Fun Pack. Now, I know people are like, wait, I thought you said you don't do the same thing. Well, this one is 12 different versions of Solitaire. I did not go and play all of them because the only one I actually know how to play is this one. The other ones are fun to try and figure out what to do. As you can see, I'm trying to figure out what to do here. Out of all of the games on this list, this is the one that I actually took the time after recording to play more, just because when you start Solitaire, you just have to at least win once. After restarting like about 20 times with bad deals, I finally got a good deal and was able to finally win. But since this one is strictly Solitaire is why I'm adding another fun pack onto this list, because the other one is Solitaire and 3 other games. This one is strictly just Solitaire. Once again, since it's by the same company, same development team, the graphics are perfect for the Game Boy. Easy to play, the controls are easy to do, and if you enjoy it, you got 12 different versions from around the world to play the game that is everybody's favorite time waster or time filler, I guess. But because of that, that's why this is definitely number 3 on my list. Really enjoy this one, and one that I will definitely keep my eyes out every time I go to Bookman's now, because this is one I would like to pick up just to at least have. Of course, I like to have all 3 of the fun packs, but you know, it's a matter of finding them. So yeah, this is number 3, Solitaire Fun Pack. 12 different ways to play Solitaire. Moving on, you guys knew this would be here. Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters. This is the only battle card game for the Game Boy. Luckily, it does have, at least a cool way of playing it on the Super Game Boy. I actually do have this one for my Game Boy, and I have a ball playing this game. It's definitely the most simplified version of the game you'll ever play, but that's okay. It's the first portable version of this fantastic card game on a Nintendo system. And the graphics of the cards, they did very beautifully. Luckily, at least, it's not too hard to win on this version. I think that's why I like this. It's not complicated. On other Yu-Gi-Oh games, somehow the computer is able to completely cheat and devastate you every step of the way. And of course, if you're that expert guy on YouTube that everybody loves to watch that video, you can just devastate anybody you play against because you know how to do your cards perfectly. And because I love these type of games, even though the computer is evil in every single one, that's why this is number 2. Yu-Gi-Oh! Had to be number 2. Now, I know everybody's now wondering, wait, if this is your favorite type of game to play on cards, then what could be better than Yu-Gi-Oh? What could be better than battle cards? Well, there's only one clear answer for that, because it is my number 1 collected thing out in the gaming world, not just video game world. And of course, that amazing game is, of course, Uno 2, Small World. This is the number 1 card game ever, in my opinion. I collect Uno. For some reason, I don't actually like to play the actual card game Uno. Now, given if it's a video game version of the card game, I love to play it. But actually playing the actual card game is just not as fun as actually playing it on a video game, especially on PlayStation Network and getting destroyed by other people. But I collect every version that I can get my hands on that's not the norm. And I like how they did it in here. You're able to pick out your avatar, and this, of course, is number 2. This is the Super Game Boy feature being shown, and even the first one, which doesn't have Super Game Boy, they colored it just right using each of the 4 palettes, palette colors as a card, so it works perfectly with or without the Super Game Boy. It does have multiplayer. I don't know how the multiplayer works. I shouldn't say that. I don't know if it's a same system feature or if the Super Game Boy allows multi-tap or not. But I just like, seeing all of the faces, and that douche just totally won. And how it works is, you could just use A, the D-pad. B is to call out Uno. If you do not call it Uno, man, they'll call you out on it. And the game itself is just, it's Uno. It's amazing. And Uno is always going to be the number 1 on my list for card games because it is one of my favorite games of all time. So that is my top 10 list for card games. As always, if you guys disagree or agree, I always love to read comments. Let me know what you think of this list. Unfortunately, there is only 11 games, but hey, it works out. So this is T Sakura saying ciao and sayonara.